What is up, my lovelies? It's me, Julian Greystoke. Jane is also here. Here he is. Bam, it's Jane. Today I'm wearing my garish shirt because I need the moral support, because today we're going to talk about a book that I really didn't enjoy. That book is Gathering of Shadows. I read the first book in this series, which is A Darker Shade of Magic. Links in the doobly-doo to my review of that. It wasn't my favorite thing, but there were definitely elements of it that I quite liked, and so I was eager to eventually check out the second one. As usual, I did listen to this as a recorded book. At my job, I am able to listen to recorded books all night, which is like my ideal world. Nigel is also here. Holy middle book slump, Batman. This book is like the very definition of middle book slump, and I really hope that it's just a slump, because if the third one is like this, then why the heck did we even bother? With a title like Gathering of Shadows, it seems like this book is going to be all about the tension and the building up to the third book, but holy crap is it not. Legit, if I wrote this much filler and this many pointless plot threads, no one would read my book. I guess it's nice to be V.E. Schwab and already be popular. So in the beginning of this book, we spend a lot of time with Delilah Bard, a character from the previous book, and she's sailing around on a ship and being a thief, and we get introduced to other new characters such as Alucard, who is her pirate ship captain person guy. And then we spend like the second half of the book at this magic competition. Honestly, I found it really boring. Like, how do you make magic battles boring? V.E. Schwab found a way. It just felt really done before. We have seen elemental magic just like this so many times. This book does try to pick up near the very end, where we finally get some of that build up towards the final book, but it is too little too late, you guys. Okay, now that we've kind of got my problems with the story out of the way, let's talk about the characters, and let's just get this over with. Delilah Bard. You may have seen people talking about how she turns into a total Mary Sue in this one, and I don't even like to use that term, because Mary Sue is often just a word that people use for the female power fantasy, and we're swimming in male power fantasy, so why can't we have a female one every now and then? And I knew that it was going to be this way going in, but it was so absurd that I couldn't enjoy it. Delilah was just good at everything. She is the special, she may be a god, I'm not really sure. She has very recently come into this world where there is magic, and she masters this magic. She can use lots of different kinds of magic instead of just one or two. She also doesn't speak the language at all, and manages through sheer Delilah Bard luck to find her way onto a ship and learns the language really fast. Delilah just coasts through life, and we're supposed to believe it is because of her skill, but in reality it is because the author loves her, and everything that Delilah wants happens for Delilah. The biggest one was when she wanted to enter this magical competition, but she couldn't, because like the contestants were all chosen way ahead of time. And so Delilah devises the world's worst plan to enter this competition, and it works! And there's never any repercussions for it, except for at the very end she gets found out, but that doesn't really matter. V.E. Schwab, listen, you are in charge of your world. You wrote this world, so why would you make it so difficult for Delilah to enter this competition so that she has to come up with the world's stupidest plan, when you could have created a world in which Delilah could have just entered the competition? She could have still disguised herself if you wanted her to. Why did you do this way? It seems like V.E. Schwab goes out of her way in this book to make things impossible for Delilah, so that Delilah can prove how much of a god she is by overcoming all of this shit. The other thing about Delilah that really drove me crazy in this book is my theory that she is an Antari, and we're going to find that out in the third book, but V.E. Schwab really thinks that that is going to be like a giant plot twist. So in the first book, I recall, it's been a while, that Delilah either had an eye patch or a glass eye, or one of her eyes was missing. And that was brought up several times in the first book. Then in this book, it was not mentioned at all until near the end, and a couple of times, even when she was in disguise as another person, and I was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do about the fact that people saw this guy having two eyes and you only have one? did not matter because V.E. Schwab wants the reveal to be a big honkin' deal in the final book, and I was just like, why? We were reminded in this book that Kel has 2 different colored eyes several times, so why weren't we reminded about Delilah's eye? You know why. We'll talk briefly about the other characters, the new characters, mainly those being Alucard, who is this bisexual, flashy pirate guy. A lot of readers really like him, and I just wasn't into it. I am like 90% sure, and I have not researched this, that the name Alucard, which is Dracula spelled backwards, was come up with for a video game because it was Dracula spelled backwards. Why is this guy's name Alucard? Cal and Rye, there's a lot that we're trying to do with their relationship, but because so much time has elapsed since I read the first book, we don't really have a strong memory of Cal's personality. We're told that he was very stern, but I don't remember him being that way. And we didn't get that much of Rye's personality in the first book. So now that they are like bonded together and their personalities are starting to like meld together, it gives them even less to work with, and I went into this book having no idea who they were, and I left this book kind of still having no idea who they were. The thing that I loved about the first book was that when Cal and Delilah finally got together, they played off of each other really, really amusingly. I loved their banter. I was there for the Cal and Delilah friendship. Did not ship them. That romance came fuck out of nowhere. In this book, I think one of my big problems is that Cal and Delilah aren't together like at all, and it looks like we're setting up for the third book to be even more Cal and Delilah aren't together. Also, at one point they kiss and Delilah bites Cal's lip so hard it bleeds, and he's still into kissing her, and maybe he's into that, whatever, I don't know his character that well. But if I was kissing someone and they bit me so hard that I bled, I would be done with the kissing. So did I like anything about this book? I can think of one aspect that I liked, and that was what I am calling Kel's Conrad Werner. If you are familiar with Mass Effect, you know who Conrad Werner is. Kel has this fanboy that he goes to visit in, I think it's Grey London, I can't remember which color is which. It's just this awesome dude who loves magic and wants to be like Kel, and he is an adorable cinnamon roll and I love him. So those are my thoughts on A Gathering of Shadows. You guys read it, what did you think about it? I know it's still very popular on Goodreads. Comment below and let me know. All of the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo, so go check them out to keep up with me. And as always, remember that I post new videos on Mondays and Fridays here on my channel, so come check them out. Jane and I will see you all again next time with whatever it is we happen to be doing next time. Bye!